It started like any other haul, a midnight departure, a thermos of hot coffee, and the steady hum of diesel beneath her boots. For Cassidy Holt, long-haul trucking wasn't just a job. It was a way of life. The highway was her home, her solitude, her freedom. But on this run, somewhere between Amarillo and Albuquerque, something shifted. Something darker than the endless blacktop ahead of her rig. Cassidy was no stranger to the unusual. You don't spend over a decade hauling coast to coast without collecting your share of strange stories. But in all her years, nothing had ever felt quite like this. It was in the way the pumps hiss late at night, at rest stops that should have been empty, in the way certain drivers always seemed to vanish after filling up, like ghosts behind the wheel. It was a pattern she couldn't ignore, and it started with a receipt. 3 weeks before she ever considered hiding a camera on her truck, Cassidy pulled into a remote fuel station outside Tucumcari. The air was thick with dust, and the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like dying insects. She fueled up, grabbed a lukewarm sandwich from the counter, and was about to head out when something caught her eye. A printed receipt on the ground. Someone else's. Time-stamped just minutes before she arrived. $1, 042.13 for diesel. Cassidy blinked. That wasn't unheard of, especially for full tankers or fleet trucks. But this station wasn't known for volume. She looked around. No other rigs, no other drivers. Just a tired attendant behind bulletproof glass, and a sleepy chihuahua curled up by the coffee machine. She shrugged it off. Maybe someone just pulled out, but the feeling stuck with her like grease under fingernails. Over the next few weeks, she started noticing more of them. Receipts, oddly high totals, always recent, always at the sketchier, quieter truck stops. It wasn't just coincidence anymore. It was a breadcrumb trail. So Cassidy did what any seasoned trucker with a stubborn streak would do. She started documenting. She bought a cheap, nearly invisible spy camera and mounted it beneath her side mirror, angled just enough to capture the fueling station behind her. The camera fed to a tiny device she kept in her glove compartment, which saved the footage to a micro SD card. She kept quiet, observant, patient. That patience paid off 5 nights later. She had pulled into a truck stop north of Las Cruces, a place that reeked of fryer oil and sunbake rubber. She was sipping her coffee, watching as a long-nosed Peterbilt pulled up to the far island. Odd thing was, the driver didn't get out. The pump started running anyway. Cassidy narrowed her eyes. Minutes passed. No movement. When the pump clicked off, the Peterbilt idled a moment, then eased away, back toward the highway. Cassidy got out and walked to the island. She looked at the display. Nozzle hung neatly in place. Hose dry. But the screen showed $912.77. Her stomach twisted. That was it. Proof. The question now was, how? Back in her cab, Cassidy reviewed the footage. The Peterbilt pulled in. Nothing suspicious. Then, something subtle. A flicker of movement beneath the trailer, near the tanks. She rewound and slowed it down. There a hand. Someone had slipped beneath the trailer. The pump had never been used. Whatever had happened, the theft didn't come from the nozzle. That night, Cassidy didn't sleep. Her mind ran through theories, siphoning systems, rig pumps, inside jobs. None of it added up, but she knew this was big, maybe organized, and she wasn't about to let it go. She posted the footage anonymously on a trucker's forum the next morning, asking if anyone had seen similar. The responses were fast and chilling. Drivers from all over the Southwest shared stories. Disappearing fuel, mysterious charges, tankers running dry before their expected limits. But no one had hard proof. No one but her. That's when she got the message. It was private, no profile picture. The name just read Gray Eagle. It said, asterisk, you're closer than you think. Meet me in Deming, East Lot, midnight. Come alone. Asterisk. It sounded insane. Cassidy almost deleted it. But something in her gut, that same instinct that had kept her alive through winter storms and backroad detours, said go. Midnight in Deming was as eerie as it sounded. The East Lot was an abandoned way station, half swallowed by sand and sagebrush. Her headlights cut through the dark like a scalpel. She parked, engine idling, hand on the crowbar tucked beside her seat. He emerged from the shadows like smoke. Leather jacket, face weathered like dry parchment. Eyes sharp. "You the one filming trucks?" he asked. Cassidy nodded slowly. "You Gray Eagle?" He didn't answer, just held up a flash drive. "You want answers, you'll need this. But if you open that, you're in it. No going back." Cassidy stared at him, the desert wind whipping her hair into her eyes. "I've already started." The flash drive contained surveillance footage from inside fuel stations. Grainy but clear. Men in uniforms. Not truckers, station employees. Swapping cards. Faking pump readings. Pocketing cash. Behind it all, a man named Dorian Vale, a former logistics officer with ties to 3 major freight companies. Fired under mysterious circumstances. Now, he ran an underground theft ring siphoning millions from independent truckers and station chains using hack pump software and dummy rigs. His crew would stage fill-ups, trigger false readings, then withdraw the cash in the back end before the transaction was flagged. Clean, fast, invisible. Cassidy had the missing piece. She could have turned it over to the cops, but in her world, cops didn't always get it right. She needed more, harder proof. So she did the unthinkable. She baited them. 2 nights later, she returned to the same Las Cruces stop with a full load and an empty auxiliary tank. She parked like usual. Only this time, she left her camera running and positioned a second one near the fuel island under a magnetic hubcap. Then she waited. 2 hours. Nothing. Then, just before 3 a.m., a silver tanker, no logos, crept into the lot. The man who stepped out wasn't wearing a uniform. He looked casual, almost bored. He walked to the pump, slid a card, and returned to the cab without touching the nozzle. Cassidy's heart pounded. She gripped the steering wheel tight as the pump began to tick, gallons racking up, dollars climbing. She waited until he drove off. Then she called the local state trooper. 3 days later, the bus made the news. Authorities raided 4 fuel depots and a dispatch hub linked to Dorian Vale. Dozens of arrests. Over $2.7 million in recovered funds. Cassidy's footage was credited with launching the investigation. But that wasn't the end. 2 weeks after the bust, she received a letter in her truck's mailbox. No return address. Just a typed note. Asterisk you looked under the hood. But not deep enough. Some engines don't stop running when you cut the fuel. Asterisk. She hasn't stopped looking over her shoulder since. Cassidy Hope became a legend among truckers. The woman who took down a fuel theft empire with one hidden camera. But she'll tell you this much. Justice on a highway is never a straight road. And some routes, you only drive once. Great. Let's continue with part 2 of the story, picking up right where we left off. The open road had always been Cassidy's church, a place of silent worship under vast skies, flanked by mountains and mist. But ever since the bus, the peace she once found out there had turned brittle. For every honk of respect from a passing rig, there was a cold chill at her back. Every stop felt watched. Every rest felt shorter. That note, "Some engines don't stop running when you cut the fuel," had dug its way into her bones. Still, she rolled on. Her rig, the Hollow Star, had become more than a truck. It was armor. She added cameras at every angle, reinforced her fuel lines, and installed a secondary kill switch beneath the dash. Cassidy wasn't just trucking anymore. She was hunting shadows. 1 month after the bust, she was hauling medical supplies to Nevada when she noticed something strange again. A rig that had been trailing her for hours, always at a distance, never too close. It wasn't uncommon to see the same truck over long stretches, but this one never passed her, never stopped at the same stations, just hovered behind. She pulled into a quiet station outside Ely. No signs, no other customers, just a single pump under a crooked floodlight. She filled her tanks and walked inside to pay. When she came back, the shadow truck was parked across the lot. Its lights were off, its engine silent. Cassidy acted like she didn't notice. She climbed into the Hollow Star, slipped her hand into the side compartment, and pressed the record button on a fresh camera tucked into the dash vent. Then she waited.